Well, hello there. This is Daniel Day Newsis, or whatever you want to call me, coming at you with another movie review in 012 Boku's world, and
It's Fear and Loathing in movie reviews, and apparently my co-partner got his spirit co-opted by Hunter S. Thompson.
well, you could say it's Hunter S. Thompson, but it could be many other things, my friend. Many other things. Don't forget that.
He got lost in Margaritaville.
Margaritaville. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and there's Jimmy Buffett going over the moon. Alrighty then. But either way, we're coming at you with a interesting piece today. Probably the first of a series that we did, because it was like a movie type mini series, and you probably all know it well from 2019. This is probably along with the movies with friends idea that I've been doing, seen with him now, and with my original friend there in Florida. You know who you are once again. But it is Chernobyl, 2019 Chernobyl. And man, oh man, what a series, what a series. Isn't that right, Jherick?
The only real Russian disaster that Donald Trump had no involvement in. Hint, hint, hint.
Isn't that funny? Well, personally, I'm gonna drop character, guys. Yeah, that's pretty damn funny, really quick. But anyway.
Yeah, let's see you assholes blame this one on him.
They probably would try to find a way. Sadly. But not joking aside there, folks. The one thing that we're getting at is basically, a quick breakdown of the show is there's the disaster that happens right at 1:23 in the morning, and oh boy, does it escalate, and it centers around pretty much three main characters: Oleana Komyuk, Emily Watson, Boris Shabina, Stellan Skarsgård, and the main character played by Jared Harris, Valery Legasov. And they're trying to work with a bunch of the Russian military, certain other scientists, and sadly civilians in the way to try to stop the disaster that is Chernobyl, or to keep it from escalating, because it's too late to stop it, because sadly it does explode. And for those of you who don't know, it did explode, the reactor, and to keep the thing from escalating. And that's basically the thing in a nutshell. Everyone just working together to lessen a disaster that, for the most part, folks, really quick breaking character again, because it's weird to say it in this voice, but I was born in 1986. He was aware of it a little bit, being a little kid, and I was born during that time, so
Yeah, I was 10 when it happened.
didn't know everything about it except the little bit they tell you about in school. And I'll just say really quick, breaking my character here, that it was astounding to hear that a lot of this stuff took place. And believe me, I've seen the YouTube comments. A lot of you were saying that some of this stuff was over exaggerated, over like that. I don't think Craig Mazin meant to romanticize Chernobyl in any way. A lot of people said, if you've seen certain other reviews and stuff, he's like 90 to 95% spot on.
Over exaggerated? Let me give you bitches a history lesson. When I was 10 years old, when that disaster happened, we had about a good half a year where you weren't allowed to buy yogurt in the grocery store, all the way in Tucson, butt-fucking Arizona. That's how bad the radiation was projected to have supposedly gotten. They were that worried. Recess was shut down in most TUSD schools for a couple of months. You couldn't go outside. You had to hurry right the fuck home. Oh, and by the way, did I mention this was a disaster that could have potentially killed Cary Elwes before he had a chance to do The Princess Bride? Yeah, if they didn't find out that guy was the perfect actor for that movie, they wouldn't have gotten him out of Ukraine. You wouldn't have had As You Wish. So yeah, you better thank the movie industry, because they saved that man's life.
Yeah, he told me that little bit of a tidbit right there. That was quite interesting there. Quite interesting indeed. And the thing is, it was pretty bad, and the movie just goes through that whole thing of just showing from start to finish all the stuff that does. Valery Legasov has probably one of the best lines in the show at the end of the film miniseries. It's, the truth will always come out. No matter what you do, we will always eventually learn the truth, and I do believe that. Sometimes the truth comes out later than sooner, but also he mentions a perfect point. What is the cost of lies before the truth is revealed? Which is a very good point, because the many things that happened, and I guess, because like I said, that's basically it in a nutshell, them trying to stop the disaster. There really is no other way to go over the plot. That's what the 5 episodes is. And yes, you heard me right, folks. 5 episodes. 5 episodes. That's all this miniseries is. And for 5 episodes, beautifully written, beautifully done, beautifully shown. You know, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say beautifully in that context, but showing the horrors, what took place, and how it affected people's lives, yeah, you can't get any more spot on than that.
I know Boku hasn't seen it yet, but let me just say, this is the best shit HBO has done since Rome. If you haven't seen Rome, watch fucking Rome, both seasons.
Which believe me, there was only 2 seasons?
Well, there was like the first season, which was like the early build-up, and then the second season, which was like the fall of Rome.
Oh, well, alright, well that makes sense. Well, how many episodes apiece?
I forgot, but I'd have to say it's at least around 12 to 13 apiece for each season.
Well,
and by the way, the only thing that's almost as good as Rome and Chernobyl, Deadwood. Watch that shit.
I've never seen that either, so it's probably on the to-do list as well. But
it's probably the closest to a historically accurate account of the actual town of Deadwood and its history as you will ever find.
Indeed, indeed. So, I just see quite a few things out there. But either way, you see just a whole lot of tough stuff going on in this film. What the folks went through, what the military went through, and just overall, just what the civilians went through, what they were told, the very big lies, and man oh man, just the way the music was ethereal, showing that the reactor was almost alive in a way, causing these people pain, causing the trouble throughout Europe and Russia, the way that, it was creepy, and believe it or not, you see it in the comment section. Comic books give you superpowers, and it seems that in real life, nuclear power, if it gets out of hand, the radiation just kills your ass. Or causes you to get sick.
I love that scene when they're looking inside the blown up reactors, like staring into the mouth of hell.
Well, yes, indeed, because that ain't right, going, looking right into a nuclear reactor, and we know what happened to those 2 physicists. They started burning right away instantly. Faces turned all red, and that's what pure radiation does, folks, because, it just, again, it burns you. Like, why do you think radiation is it's still used somewhat today in the medical field, but that was the first thing before chemotherapy came on to fight cancer. Because radiation kills all the cells, and that's what made it a dangerous cancer treatment, was because sometimes they overdid it with people on the radiation, and sadly, some folks did die from it. And they still somewhat use it in stuff today, but not as much. Chemotherapy is like the standard cancer treatment.
You want to see Fallout 3 in real life? Watch Chernobyl.
Well,
scary thought, but yeah, that could have, and frankly, given what he told me, it could still potentially happen, because aren't they still using like 2 of those reactors?
Well, they're still using 2 of the, well, see, that's the rumor too. What my friend told me was that, we heard Legasov said it too, they were still using, I think, 2 out of 3 of the other reactors, and the rumor was that they're still using it to this day. Some people have said they've been decommissioning it by now, but the rumor is they're still possibly using it. But you have people on YouTube. There's quite a few people who talk about the elephant's foot, the thing that where all the metal, radiation and everything and the plastics mix together to create lava, because that's what radiation does when it's hot enough. It can create lava just out of anything it touches, and they talk about the corpse of the elephant's foot, but besides that, they also mention really quick, possibly within, I think they said 20 to 30 years, if the Russians don't keep that possibly in check. The rumor is, now there's been no official reports, but what scientists believe, if it's not properly kept in check, that concrete pad that the miners put up, it's gonna possibly eat through that concrete pad and possibly try to start another meltdown. So, I don't know, we could still be in danger, we may not from that, or, again, don't know if it's going to be Europe or us, but like he said, if that got to the core of the Earth, yeah, it would probably start a chain reaction for all of us that would start about the world's apocalypse, which would suck, but we probably would all be living in fallout for those of us who survived. So he is right, we were very close to that. Plus, not only that, they say right in the show that if it did explode and go further into the ground, it would create a massive shockwave that would have pretty much destroyed probably about 95% of Europe. So pretty serious shit there if it was to go wrong.
And pretty weird little fact here for you kiddos. While most people will say it was Ronald Reagan getting Gorbachev to bet on Star Wars missile defense program spending that destroyed Russia, that was probably about half of it. The other half of it would have been Chernobyl. Chernobyl really kicked Gorbachev and Russia's reputation right down the shitter, which unfortunately opened the door for Vladimir Putin, but that's a story for another time.
Yes.
Another weird fact, Big Titty Hellraven from Toho Project is inspired by Chernobyl. Not even joking. If you want to find out how, go check out the Kitsune Hawks video. What was it? He had a video explaining like the references for various characters from video games, and yes, Oku is one of those characters. She's inspired by Chernobyl. That little concrete block she wears on her foot, that's the elephant's foot, the concrete elephant's foot. That little cannon she wears on her arm, it's not a cannon, it's a control rod. Yeah, so she's a mix of the Yatagarasu and Chernobyl.
And there you go. And basically, we've already been talking about some of our favorite bits already, but to basically go over some of the other good bits and just, I'm also going to say terrible bits, because really, you enjoy the show because you like hearing the history, you like going through the drama, and seeing these people fight really hard to stop this thing, but, the administrators and Anatoly Dyatlov, the gross negligence that they had, probably even, like he said, Gorbachev, because there's even a little nice thing at the end where they're talking about the aftermath of Chernobyl, where Gorbachev says in 2006, when he finished writing his book, that Chernobyl possibly was the greatest fall to the Soviet Union. In my opinion, I don't think the Soviet Union ever officially fell, but just the title did. But anyway, that's what I believe, in my opinion, and that's another story for another time as well. But either way, that's what he says caused the fall of the Soviet Union when its dissolution happened in 1991. And also, not only was the gross negligence and them refusing to believe that when the core exploded there was graphite on the roof, that the nuclear stuff was going on, they didn't even have the proper Geiger counter kits or what they call dosimeters. They were either breaking or they only went so high. And what was it after that general went in? It was 22 or anywhere between 15,000 or 22,000 Runkin?
No, it was 33,000.
33,000.
And I think at one point it got up to like 45,000, but then it went to, I think like after some of the measures it got down to 33,000.
Either way, like 4 times the nuclear material of the Hiroshima bomb. Yeah, that's and yes, for every 48 hours, the power of 4 Hiroshima bombs. So, yeah, every 2 days, that much nuclear material, hour after hour, going into your body. A lot of these people who survived it and doing it, I say God was with you guys, and I'm sorry for all the pain, but, I'm shocked a lot of people did not drop dead after that happened.
You know how bad it was, people? Within days, they were detecting the massive excess of radiation coming from that all the way in Sweden. Like, on the other side of the fucking European continent, they were feeling the radiation.
Well, that was another good scene, too, where Shabina picks up the phone, and Stellan Skarsgård, as Shabina says, you don't see it, but he picks up the phone and hangs it up and says they can feel it in Sweden. In Europe, they're not letting the kids go out to play. So, that's how powerful and how far that nuclear material went.
There was a scene where her colleague wipes like the windowsill with a Kleenex, and he puts it down next to one of those dosimeters, and it just starts going off.
That was Komyuk. That was Komyuk.
Yeah, and she's just looking at it with this look. It's like, there's no way. The readings should not be that high, and she takes the thing, she examines it, and then she like runs off and she's examining these plans for the Chernobyl reactor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was that bad.
And she tries to, warn the government, and the government's like, well, we're the ones in charge. We're not going to listen to you. We know what's good. And I guess you could probably say along with the gross negligence, because I'll sort of wrap it up here, because I can't really do the show justice by talking about it. This is a show you folks have to see. It is heartbreaking. It is a hard watch to see the men who are inside, the building reactor go through what they go through. It's tough to see what Boris Shabina, Valery Lagosov go through, because they start to become affected by it by near the end of the show. What the government does to them, what the government even did to Komyuk, because at one point Komyuk gets arrested by the KGB for asking too many questions, and seeing what the firefighters and some of the other people did when they were dying from the radiation. Oh, it's tough. And again, I can't do it justice by talking about it.
People, this is absolutely the case of truth is absolutely stranger than fiction. When you see the stories, all the stories, these are all real things that happen to real people. You're never, ever going to be shocked or surprised by fucking anything ever again. Not in your life.
And since I'm going to use this as a bit of a wrap-up, because I know we're usually headed to our usual time for our reviews, but I mean, it's just because we were just talking about things so willy-nilly. But again, I don't think me or Jherick could do it justice. Because we would be doing this for hours if we were going by a play-by-play episode review, which maybe at some point we will, but because the gross negligence of the administration of Chernobyl, and like for instance something that is similar to today, you have one of the oldest administration members say, we're glad you care about the people, because there's one man who says let's abandon the town. He's like, we're glad you care about the people, but the thing is, the people need to focus on their work. We know what's good for them, so you know what, we're not going to bother them with this because we know what's good. This can't be that bad. So you know what? Let's control any misinformation that comes from this thing. Cut the phone lines. Don't let anyone leave the town because it's good. We know it's good for people. And boy, doesn't that sound similar to some of the stuff we've done today?
Yeah, God, it sounds so familiar. Cough, cough, Pelosi.
And then not only that, like how the KGB hides things, and when Valery Lagosov basically, and I don't mean this as a pun, but because of what happened at Chernobyl, blew the lid off the truth, and sorry about that, I know that's terrible for those who've probably seen this, why, but when he blew the lid off it, I think the guy's name was Chekhov, who was the leader of the KGB. He comes in and says, you did lies too. You're one of us. You stopped people from getting ahead. You stopped Jewish scientists from getting ahead on nuclear positions. You're one of us. You try to tell the truth now. No one's going to see this. No one's going to know of it. We're going to ruin your life. You'll still be a scientist, but only in name only. You'll have nothing at your institute. You'll have nothing there. And by the time you're dead, it'll seem like, you won't exist at all.
Yeah, so summation... All you kids who think communism would be such a nice little system, watch Chernobyl. See what you're asking for.
Yeah.
Learn.
And Jherick says it right there, because that's how I was sort of going to end this thing too, because, there's a part where Chekhov, literally looks at Lagosov and he says, because he also threatens Lagosov to say, you're not going to talk to anyone about Chernobyl again. You're not going to talk to it about Shabina, you're not going to talk to it with Komyuk, you're not going to talk to anyone, other scientists, or even random civilians about Chernobyl. And, he says, what if I refuse? And he's like, why worry about something that's not going to happen? And, he literally goes, that's perfect. We should literally print that on our money. and that's very true, because, again, it's how sort of the world works right now. And I agree with Jherick. If you guys think communism is a good thing, watch the show. Because granted, yes, it was towards the end, in quotations, of the Soviet Union. But in many ways, World governments have been doing that. I mean, we even have our own dark skeletons that we have probably kept hidden that not even we know about. And, some of that is even coming to the forefront of even our country. And you know what? He is right. It is the cost of lies that gets things gross. But I mean, and granted, but the thing is, we still have some freedoms here, so we're not as bad. But for those of you who want communism, socialism, and stuff, or Marxism, or even just if you think fascism is a good thing, I would hate to think you folks think that. But if you even think fascism is a good thing, look at this show. You see how the administration, trusted things, how Gorbachev just wanted to get this over with quickly, didn't even seem to care. Some of the materials they got didn't work. Some of the machines they got didn't work. They had to keep throwing soldiers at this thing, other civilian volunteers. The land had to be uprooted. Animals had to be murdered and killed because of how radioactive they were. A lot of people died. And, and to sort of give my last point on it, it says right at the end of the show, before it says to all those who've suffered and sacrificed, it says that between 4,000 and 93,000 people died from this incident. But the death toll, and this is looking at you, Vladimir Putin, too, unchanged till this day, the Soviet death toll is 31.
Remember, people, what's his name? Stalin, the first leader of Russia, was reputed to have only caused the deaths of around 35 million people on the official record. Chernobyl.
And what? It's millions actually for what Stalin did, from what people can at least tell.
Well, I mean, it's projected to be anywhere actually between like 45 million to 90 million.
Yeah.
Chernobyl, on the official record anywhere outside of Russia, is 93 plus million. That is the only disaster, man-made or otherwise, that has managed to surpass Stalin's record. Well, I mean, other than Chairman Mao, but again, that's Chinese history, and hey, if I go disappearing in a couple of days, you know where to look.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, I just urge you folks, if you think it's a good thing, just watch this show and maybe you'll think differently. At least I hope you do, because I know I I know I did. I mean, I was not for communism either, but it's shocking to know on the year of my birth, all this took place, and none of us around the world probably knew the whole toll that this could have had on our planet. Because this is probably the worst nuclear disaster ever. And this doesn't mean nuclear power is bad. Nuclear power is still some of the safest, cleanest, greatest reusable energy out there. But in the hands of idiots and incompetence, you get this.
By which we mean Russians, but yes.
Yes.
But also, the scariest thing about this movie, the thing that impresses me, but scares me at the same time, this is the single most accurate historical depiction of that disaster ever. Ever. Mm-hmm. America, any other country, especially Russia, this documentary is the single most accurate one I have ever witnessed.
Well, and it must show it, because I'll just say it right now. The critic consensus, the way that we saw it on Rotten Tomatoes, because I always like looking at it before we do our official reviews like this that aren't live. 93% critics, 96% audience. So that's a first out of all the things I've reviewed. I've not seen it that solid on both sides across the board. That's saying something.
That gives it a higher rating with both critics and fans than even The Mandalorian.
Yeah, well,
Can you believe that?
Well, again, this probably opened a lot of people's eyes, and they probably couldn't believe it, because I think Craig Mason was just trying to show people how this was probably one of the worst man-made things in history, up there with a whole bunch of other stuff. But also, maybe he was, a Soviet Union history buff or a Russian history buff, and he also thought the civilians and soldiers who died during this haven't gotten their due credit. I want to make sure they do. And yes, I know people say, oh, well, this is Hollywood, blah, blah. Yes, it is Hollywood. Yes, there probably is some dramatization. Yes, they probably did even take some liberties. Because Oleana Kumyuk is not even a real person. She represents all the scientists that worked with Legasov. They even say that at the end of the thing. And, I'm like, I didn't mind that, though.
And people, this documentary, this was supposed to come out in 2019. this has been such a passion project. This guy has had to I mean, well, actually, I think now 4 years later.
Well, don't jump the gun there, Jherick. It did come out in 2019.
It did?
Yes.
Man, they did not advertise this shit.
Nope, no, they didn't. I think I saw a few advertisements on HBO, but yeah, I mean, mostly, I think this was kept quiet because I only heard about it. I never saw it, and my friend down in Florida is the one who got me to see it, and he said it's really good, and he showed me it, and I mean, he gave me the rundown of it, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that, and he's like, well, yeah, we gotta watch it together, and I watched and was just blown away, and even rewatching it with you, Jherick, it blows me away, so again,
you're gonna have to
really
give him something nice, man. That was a good thing for him to do.
Oh, I have. I'll definitely keep doing that. I know what he wants. He wants me to come down to visit him, and I'm working on that. So if you watch this, my friend, I'm working on it. You know that. I'm probably getting close to it. So just hang in there a bit more if you can, because Lord knows it's not cheap to travel. But that's pretty much all I need to say. Is just and final thing again, just think about if you want really communism or Marxism or socialism or fascism in general. It's not good. Freedom is the way we should all be.
And I'm going to finish this by saying something he told me while we were watching this. I have no love for the Russian government. We all know this, but my hat's off to each and every single one of the proud men and women who put everything to minimize and weaken that disaster from claiming this world.
Yeah, Shabina,
you can hate the Russian government, you can hate the KGB, you can even hate what that nation has supposedly stood for its whole existence, but those people put everything they had and more to save everyone when it counted.
And again, the entire world, and like my friend even said, this whole thing also shows that Russia should never have a nuclear stuff ever again, because without going into it too deep, since we're ending it here soon, folks, my friend told me they built another reactor in 2018 or 2017 or something, and they were doing a test for it, and it failed instantly. There was a leakage or something already right before it even opened. So yeah, Russia should not, and I'm not meaning the Russian people. Because we pay respects to the people of Russia. So I'm not blaming you Russian people if I do have any Russian fans. But to the government, stop using it. Don't touch it ever again.
Remember, comrades, it only takes one brainy Smurf to ruin a Smurf village, but it takes the whole village to clean up the mess. Just saying.
But anyway, that was very well said there, Jherick, and I like that. And to get back into character once again, I will basically say I am Daniel Day Newsis, and sorry for the crappy name, but that's what I'm going with. And
I'm Tentacle Lover 76.
Yes, Jherick loves his tentacles. Believe me, one slithering through my leg right now. Get out of there. But anyhow, we will see you guys again, and deuces.
And hey, if we don't forget to look for us in the shallow graves behind the swap meet.
Oh yes, believe me, I'm probably gonna bet it's because my channel is small, but if this is my first flagged video, I wonder why. Probably the stuff we said. Come at us, YouTube.